Hi, I'm Richard Lee, and thank you for taking the time to join me as I talk to you a little bit about what to expect in our first concert this season, Rock the Classics. Now, it's a very unusual title for one of our shows, but it does succinctly describe what you're going to hear. I've sort of gone through and chosen pop tunes, rock tunes, country tunes in some cases, and what these tunes have in common is that they've all borrowed or stolen ideas from classical music. And it's going to be a fun concert. Essentially, what you'll see and hear is a performance of a popular piece of music. For example, Procol Harum's Whiter Shade of Pale, followed by the classical piece of music which Procol Harum stole from. In this case, it is Bach's Air on the G string. And when you hear them back to back, and if I'll get a chance a little bit at that concert to explain these similarities to you from the stage, but I'm confident that you'll be amazed at how similar, from a technical standpoint, from a compositional standpoint, these pieces sound. Another piece that you're going to hear, and this is a true story, is a piece called Nine Crimes by Damien Rice. And I did not know this piece of music prior to a couple years ago, but it was introduced to me, and the first thing I said when I heard it was, this sounds like Rossini. And it really does, and whether it's conscious or not, Damien Rice stole this chord progression that Rossini used all the time. This series of chords that repeats over and over again in both Damien Rice's case and, believe it or not, Rossini in many of his operatic works used the same chord progression. And we'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll get to hear both pieces back to back so that at the end of the day, we can come to the conclusion that music is just music. The whole idea of chords and melodies and harmonies, all this stuff, all music has in common. The only difference is sometimes music is very good and very moving and very emotional and has an incredible impact, and sometimes music doesn't, frankly. There's a lot of bad music out there, no question. You might be asking the question, well, how is it that you're going to play these pop tunes? It's a very good question. We've had to figure that out. None of our musicians, or many of our musicians, are not comfortable in that genre. I certainly can't play the electric guitar or the drum set. So what I've had to do was talk to Nick Pences, the owner of Stanley's Barbecue, and asked him if he would be willing to form sort of an all-star group of musicians comprised of his Stanley's Barbecue house musicians. And he's agreed, so I'm really excited to have Nick Pences and some of the other musicians who perform regularly at Stanley's on stage with us to help us with the popular tunes by Procol Harum, by Chicago, by Ernest Tubb, by Damien Rice, whom I mentioned already, John Denver, Beatles. You'll hear all these pieces of music, but more importantly, you'll hear the pieces of music or an example of classical music that these pieces, that these pop tunes borrowed from. And at the end of the day, I just want people to realize, again, that music is just music. Whether it's pop, classical, country, bluegrass, it's pretty much all the same to me. And I hope you'll join us in our exploration of how impactful and how fun and how beautiful all music can be. Thank you.